The director, Charlotte Lynch, who grew up in Harlem, who was a track star at the University of Texas, had decided she wanted to change directions, and she got into documentary films. She worked as an associate producer on the jazz series with Ken Burns. And I think during that experience, she decided she wanted to make her own first film. And she had done some work with Orlando Bagwell afterward as an associate producer, and she came with this idea that she wanted to do a documentary about Shirley Chisholm. So she wrote a letter to Shirley Chisholm, and Shirley Chisholm didn't respond in a very positive way. But Charlotte's very persistent and tenacious, and she kept reaching out to Miss Chisholm. Miss Chisholm finally had a sit down with Charlotte, and Charlotte talked her into being the subject of the film. And Charlotte was able to raise money through POV. She got money through POV to do this film, ITBS really. And her and her co-producer Phil Bertelsen, they started shooting, I guess, in 2004, 2005. I think I did this in 2006, if I remember.
I think the date on it is 2004.
Really? That old?
Yeah.
Wow.
2005.
2005?
Yeah.
2005? Yeah. Well, I guess it was 2003, 2004 they started shooting. And I hadn't known her. She reached out to me about editing the film, and I went and had a meeting with her. And you know, I Susan, I'm always positive about helping young filmmakers get their careers off the ground. And she didn't have a lot of money, but I thought this was an important subject. She was an important person, so I said I would become involved. That's how it started.
Did you get to meet Shirley at all?
No, not at all. No, they had done almost a shoot by the time I came on.
When did Shirley die?
2006.
Oh, she knows everybody.
No, it's sad to me, especially watching this, that, I'm sorry for interjecting, but yeah, that she passed away so soon afterwards.
But she had seen the film.
She had seen the film.
And did
She
she
liked
like
it. Yeah, she liked it. I think she felt that Charlotte honored her, who she was, you know. And what's really interesting though is that a lot of that footage, that verite footage that you see when she's, you know, walking around, when she's at the end there in her hotel room, that as a documentary, had been done by a French company.
I was just about to ask you
It
about
was
that.
done by a French company, and our archivist had found the film, you know, and that was like the goal.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about that. Like, why was that shot? You know, why didn't we have her after all of that
Yeah,
on
was
film? Well, thank goodness for that. As documentary filmmakers, we long for that kind of thing to
We
happen.
sure do.
Anyway, I have stories about that. Well, that's a different subject. How we find these things and how they come to us. And thank God for the researchers who go under every rock looking for this.
It's so important, the film archivist. It's really important.
And the editor is really important. Often doesn't get the credit that they should get for these films. Do you know, I was struck by the frame. She shot everything very close up. Is there, what was, I mean, it's an interesting choice.
That was her stylistic idea. Remember that shot of Ron Dellums where he's like looking like this?
Yeah.
She had this whole thing that she wanted to shoot people sort of looking off. And you know, what's her name shot it? Sandy?
Chisholm?
Who?
Chisholm?
Sandy, who's that? Who said that?
Me.
Yeah. Yeah, Sandy Chisholm shot it. So her and Sandy had this long discussion about how to shoot the interviews. I mean, I wouldn't have shot it that way, but that's how she wanted to shoot it. And she shot them tight, like with
Yeah, really
Pollard.
tight. I thought that was very
She shot
interesting.
it really tight, you know. But I thought there was some interesting choices, like Octavia Butler.
Say that again?
Octavia Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting choice to interview her. You know, I thought it was fascinating, you know. And then Barbara Lee was phenomenal, you know. To think that Barbara Lee was like a young woman who didn't have any idea about her career and look where she's at today. I mean, I was watching it from the side there, just watching it today, making me think of Christy Gillibrand and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris. And, you know, Shirley Chisholm was a groundbreaker.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why was Gloria not in the film?
Who?
Gloria Steinem.
She was just going to say.
Well,
She wasn't interviewed.
Which one interviewed?
Was she interviewed?
No.
She was interviewed for another
She
film.
would have been, she's interviewed for lots of films,
I think.
but she's not in this one.
I
which
think
surprised me.
Charlotte reached out to her, and I don't think she said yes.
Well, obviously she didn't. I was just curious if you knew why she
I
said
don't know
that.
why. I think Charlotte did reach out to her. Yeah.
The Bella Abzug story is very surprising.
Oh, yeah.
What's more, you know more about that?
Not really.
Yeah. You know what I was feeling watching this film? I'm sure everybody in this room is feeling the same thing. Is the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
I mean, this film could be made today, and we're dealing with exactly the same issues.
Yeah, it's like, for example, Walter Fauntleroy is talking about, it's not that she's a woman,
Right.
but we gotta go where we're gonna have some leverage.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like you hear the same thing over and over and over again. Things just don't change sometimes. It's horrible.
How did
But
you?
I-
Go ahead.
But I thought that, to me, one of the most interesting moments is that last one where she's crying about Ron Dellums. And she wants him to come home because she knows he betrayed her. So that's a very powerful moment to me. That's what I'm watching. Sorry.
I was curious about how you felt making the film. What was your emotional response to it?
That's a good question, Susan. I'll be very frank. I tend never to let my emotions spill into the films I'm editing. I mean, I've worked on lots of films, but I tend to try to be as professional as I can. And I'm trying to figure out how to make the story work. And that's first and foremost for me. So I never let my emotions override anything. I just try to get the job done. I mean, as you know, every film goes through lots of structural permutations, and this one went through a big structural permutation. The original structure that we did, the people at POV and ITBS hated it.
What was it?
The original structure was, we start the whole film with Shirley, basically at the convention giving up the delegates, and then we sort of backtracked to how did she get to that point? And I thought it worked, but nobody else did. So then we had to figure out a new way to start the film, and we had always had that material which she announced in New York at the church. So then we decided to try to use that as a way to open it, and then interweave that montage of women's rights and all the other stuff at that opening. And then we had to go back. And figure out how to make some of those transitions. So we had those cards that said convention and all that stuff, which I'm not quite sure I think works, but that's what we did.
Well, it's an easy way to get narrative information
To get the
across.
narrative across. And the idea, the ticker tape thing was ours. We put that all through the film.
I thought it was effective. Kept you grounded.
Kept trying to keep you grounded. It's always funny when you go back and, that's why I don't like to watch films I work on. Because I always say, well, why do I do it that way?
Well, I think we all feel that way about every film we make. We look back on it years later and say, oh, God, I should have taken 10 minutes out of that film. You're working on something, I'm only raising it because I don't think it has immediate relevance to this film, but it has general relevance to this film. And you're working on a series called Why We Hate, or that's the idea of this series.
Yes, it's
And you were telling me the other night how much you have learned making this, and you're directing this. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's a 6-part series that's going to be on Discovery either in late spring or early summer. It's being executive produced by well-known documentarian Alex Gibney and Mr. Spielberg. And it's, every episode has a different theme, where we look at tribalism, we look at ideologies, we look at, the tools of hate. Are there any resolutions to hate? What happens when hate can go so far it leads to genocide? And I've been working on it for the last year, almost year and a half now, and traveling all around the country and around the world. And it's one of the reasons I like documentaries so much, because to me it's always a learning experience. And you not only learn about other people and other places and other ideas, you learn about yourself, how you respond to things. So for me, working on this film and thinking that I understand people, I don't. You really, I've learned so much about tribalism, about us versus them, about nature versus nurture. It's been fascinating. I mean, it's just one of those experiences that I feel like I've walked away feeling like I'm a much more sort of a better human being, quite honestly. I'm a better human being than I was a year and a half ago, which to me is like important in this world, to try to always be a better human being and figuring out how to understand the nuances of life. So it's been a great experience.
Yeah, great. I wish Donald Trump could watch this series. He doesn't have the attention span, right, or the ability to take it in. At the moment, we are dealing with a political landscape which is very similar to 1972.
Right.
We have a whole lot of people saying they want to run for president. There are questions about that. Are they going to, take votes away from candidates that could actually win? I mean, it's just amazing how relevant this conversation is.
Did you hear today that this gentleman, this mayor from South Bend, Indiana, is going to run for president?
Oh, my.
I was like, it's just so many people, you have to start to figure out where you want to go, I mean,
And Howard Schultz, to me, that's such a joke.
that's an absolute joke. I completely
I'll never go to
agree.
Starbucks, even though I don't go there now. Don't tell me that, you lose your leverage.
It is a joke. Howard Schultz is a complete joke. I watched that piece of 60 Minutes last week. It was like, what is he thinking?
But it does raise complicated issues in terms of today and looking at this film. I mean, we're all on her side, and we're feeling proud of her and admiring her. And yet today, we're looking at who can win.
That's all that matters.
All that matters is who can win.
That's a big question now.
And so I was just wondering what we're making this film, well, we made it a long time ago. Trump wasn't in the picture yet, but I'm just curious how people respond to this film and whether you all would like to ask Sam some questions.
First of all, I'd like to say it was a real thrill to see your name all around town this week. I was very excited to see.
That's just because you're a former student.
I wanted to ask you a question. I remember, I was watching this movie and I'm thinking about when we saw Four Little Girls a long time ago, and it was in the language of film class. And I remember the question that was asked at the beginning of the film, we talked about it afterwards, was your decision to leave the photos of the girls in the film. And it was a big kind of, was it the right decision? Did it make sense, and what informed that decision? And I'm curious on kind of a general level, what does inform your decisions when you're editing? So if you're working on a film like this, are you trying to educate the viewer or tell the story of Shirley Chisholm, or are you just trying to, is it for posterity? I'm curious about that.
First and foremost, I'm always trying to tell a good story. That's number one. Number two, to me, the key to telling a good story is to have compelling and interesting characters. And documentaries is just like fiction films. When you find compelling characters, it's a big leg up. And she was very compelling. That's number three. That's number two. Number three, the other thing that I'm always trying to do when I'm editing, and now that I'm directing more, I'm trying to find the story arc, the compelling characters to help me take me to the story arc, and I'm always looking for some conflict. Because as we all know, that's what makes life goes, conflict. So when I can find the tension and conflict in the film, that's a very important aspect. And then finally, hopefully, through all those three tentacles, the fourth one is to give you the information. Because to me, the information is important, but I want you to feel things. That's very important, that you feel things. And you're right, Four Little Girls, the objective was not only to tell you about those 4 little girls who were killed in Birmingham at the 16th Street Baptist Church, but to make you feel that experience. That's very important to me.
Just wondering, given what Jim Morocco said, whether there was the potential to carry this film out beyond the point that it ends and deal with that afterlife, which was so significant. It has a real effect of ending the way it does when we now know that the story went on, and given the time that the film was made, could have contained some of that material. Did you have that option? Was it there? Was the material there for you to work with?
We would have had to find it, and we could have done it if Sean wanted to do it. But the biggest challenge, and Susan can attest to this, that as filmmakers, we always have to come to a point where we say, when's enough enough? You know, every film could be longer. We all know that. But as filmmakers, you know, it's like you watch a film and you get to the point where you say, we've reached this point where the audience, we've got the audience by the hand. We got them in the palm of our hand, and we want to let them go. We don't want to let it drag on, where they say, oh, the film just petered out.
Right.
That's the worst thing to me in the film experience. Is a film, I watch a film and I feel, oh, it just petered out. You know? And my challenge always, as an editor, as a director, is to create a film, to shape a film that you're engaged in, and at the end, you want more.
I do think there could have been a little bit of a postscript, though, that just indicated she stayed in Congress for another 10 years.
Well, it said that, but it didn't
without
say how
adding too much.
significant she was.
We can argue that.
I probably would have been tempted to do that. But that's me. Talk about some of your other films. We worked together on a incredible film on August Wilson.
Yeah, August Wilson, which was a great film for me to do. I mean, I love doing that.
We worked on
We
that
had that
together.
together. She was the EP, and it was, to me, that was like, you know, it's always fascinating that, you know, you think you know somebody, and then when you get into the research and you start interviewing people, you learn so much more about them. And that to me was the experience with August Wilson. I mean, I felt the same way with Fort Wayne. You know, I love that film. I mean,
We've done a bunch of films.
yeah, when I was leaving the house, my wife was watching A Quiet Man today.
Yeah.
And she says to me, this is the only John Wayne film I ever liked.
We did a film on John Ford, John Wayne, and it was a lot of fun. We also did Marvin Gaye together.
Yeah, which turned out really good.
Yeah.
It's a really good film.
But August Wilson is a very, very special
Yeah, good
film,
film.
and you really, your heart and soul was in that, I felt, in a
Oh, I loved it.
deep way.
Yeah.
And we didn't work together on the last film we did in American Master, because I was already gone on
Yes,
San Diego Jr.
which will be on television. I'm going to do a little plug. February 19th. on
But
American Master.
it's gotten incredible reviews. It was in Toronto, and I highly encourage you all to see it.
It was here 2 months ago, right?
What is there, everybody always asks me this, because I've been involved in so many films as you have, is there a common thread in the biography genre? Do you think there's a common thread in the stories that we're telling?
You mean, as for me, in terms
Yeah,
of who I am?
yeah.
Oh, I absolutely think so. I mean, if you look at my body of work and you look at the Fort Wayne film, the Gordon Parks film, you know, the August Wilson film, it's all about, I mean, you know, I'm a male, so there's a lot of all male films. And it's about these males who are very sensitive men, really, who are very artistic and very creative, and they're struggling with making sure that their creativity comes out. That's basically who I am. You know, so I'm attracted to that stuff. I'm really attracted to it. I mean, someone just reached out to me last week about working on a documentary about Dwayne Wade, you know, who's up at Miami Heat. He's about to retire, and they shot 6 years of footage. And I looked at some of the footage the other day, and I thought, wow, this guy's an interesting human being. He's an artist, you know, in his own way. So that's the kind of stuff that attracts me, you know. That's the sort of common denominator for me. Yeah.
We have one question up here. Is it? I'm sorry.
Just-
Yeah, I had a question about the Shirley Chisholm film. So when you're choosing the material, was there anything that was very personal for any opportunities to see her in a more intimate way in the historic footage? In the contemporary footage, you have that very moving moment where she talks about the physical attack, you know, her being physically threatened.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the historic footage, you see her talking about her betrayal, you know, the betrayal of her friend. But those are the only two where you sort of see a crack in that electric smile and that huge personality that she had. Just wondering if you had any opportunity to see her on a personal level in any of the historic footage.
If we had it, it would have been it. I had the same issue. I studied this film 2004, it came out?
In the 2005.
3 years later, I co-edited for HBO a film about Barack Obama, By the People, the election of Barack Obama. And those two filmmakers had shot almost 300 hours of material. And we constantly kept going back to the footage to find Obama being
Real.
real. And man, was it hard.
Real so much as vulnerable,
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It was hard. These guys are politicians. They don't let you see much. It was hard with that film. She's the same way.
But the interview was done many, many, many years later.
Many years later.
The one thing I was curious about is, this is a woman who certainly didn't have a background that one would have assumed would get her to where she was. And certainly not with that unbelievable sense of confidence. And I think I would have wanted to know a little bit more about where that came from. You know?
It was really all there on the screen.
Yeah.
There wasn't much more she gave Charlotte. It was really all there. It really was. I mean, the closest was when she, I guess, with the sequence when we had the little girls when she was back in the islands or something. That was as close as she came.
Well, sometimes people don't want to go there.
No, I know.
Anyway, any more questions today? Well, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.